You will not be able to stay home, brother. You will not be able to plug in, turn on, and cop out. You will not be able to lose yourself on Skag and skip out for beer during commercials because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be brought to you by Xerox in 4 parts without commercial interruptions. The revolution will not show you pictures of Nixon blowing a bugle and leading a charge by John Mitchell, General Abrams, and Spyro Agnew to eat hog maws confiscated from a Harlem sanctuary. The revolution will not be televised.
Hey, bro.
How you doing, brother?
How you feeling?
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And call it the podcast because our name is subject to change at any given time. We're looking for a quick rebrand and just stick with us. Don't unsubscribe if you already have, because the content is going to be just as good and it's going to get better. To open right now, we want to say at the end of our last podcast, we ended on a light note, speech about the return of Mike Tyson. Well, we're not going to continue that at this very moment. There's a lot going on in the world right now, but we will save that for a whole nother episode, something to be a bit more joyous and, something to be more, how you say, lighthearted about, something that we can just, kind of play around with, something
Yeah.
else.
It's not the right time for that right now,
Absolutely.
But
speaking of current events for the protesters, I'm with y'all 100%. Keep the peace. Peaceful protest is the way to go about this. Don't worry about those rioters out there because everybody is not in your corner. The enemy walks among us and they're making themselves visible. Okay? It is important that you keep your peaceful protest.
keep in mind protesters that you got a lot of wolves dressing up like sheep, if you will. You got badges out there undercover, dressed up like us, like one of the protesters. And they out there just destroying property and making us look bad. Whether we're doing it or not, just keep your mind, be wary, keep your eyes in the back of your head, and just be safe.
Absolutely. Keep your head on a swivel. Understand that everybody is not our ally. Also, keep in mind that we are still going through a pandemic. COVID-19 is not over. I repeat, it is not over. You are still susceptible to getting sick out there. The last thing you need to do is get sick in the middle of a protest. It's the last thing we need. So remember to keep yourself protected. Wear long sleeve shirts, gloves, cover your face. Make sure you don't spread that virus. It's bad enough that we're going through this as a country right now in general. We don't need y'all to get sick as well.
Please cover your face.
Absolutely.
I can't stress that enough, man. And also, if you can do something as far as covering your head, that's wise too, because the COVID virus, it can stay in your hair. It can track in your hair, and it tracks on fabric. So as soon as you go in your house, after you protest or after you go to the store, whoever's out there, you know what I mean, put everything that you had on outside, drop it at the door, put it in the bag, go get in the shower, and then all the clothes that you just took off at the door, go wash it immediately.
There you go.
That's no joke.
Just some words of encouragement. Keep yourself safe and keep doing what you're doing. We will see progress. We will see it. Just stay strong.
Change gonna come.
Absolutely. Sam Cooke said it best, didn't he? Yeah. Now, that brings us to our next. Next subject. Sorry. There's a name out there. There's a name out there that some people aren't familiar with, and it's understandable. They hide our history from us our entire lives. But Sarah Rector, and now I wasn't even familiar with this name. I'm not gonna sit here and tell y'all I was. I'm learning every single day. I've been learning since I got out of school, and it's important that we continue to educate ourselves. But on this one, I don't feel I'm educated enough to speak on it. So we're gonna give you a brief history right quick. So Jason, I give you the floor to talk about Sister Sarah Rector.
So Sister Sarah Rector was a young sister who was at that time the youngest Black millionaire at that time, and this is during the same time as the Tulsa race riots, right? Or Black Wall Street. I don't feel comfortable calling it a race riot because it was just a massacre. But Sarah Rector had her family had oil deposits basically, and she, I guess, in a way, she was renting them out, and she was helping other families in need, or her family was helping other people in need by doing that. But then you had people that were trying to be greedy, and you know who those people more likely were. So it got to a point where she had to go into hiding, and they were just trying to hunt her down. And she also had her money also went to Black Wall Street too, which brings us to the point of Black Wall Street. Our next point. And speaking of Black Wall Street, May 31st was the anniversary of the Tulsa race riot. Also, like I said, known as the Black Wall Street Fall. I don't like calling it the Tulsa race riot because it wasn't a race riot. It was more than that. It was a massacre. The Tulsa race riot. Basically, it was Black Wall Street was, I guess, in a way, you can call it, I guess, sort of Black utopia for Black Americans here.
Right.
And it was we had let me put it to you like this, right? So I'm gonna just break it down how rich we were in Black Wall Street, right? So Black Wall Street in that whole state, there was 2 airports. In between those 2 airports was, Tulsa. Now, in Tulsa, there were 6 Black families that had private planes. 6 Black families. Think about this, people, how rich Black Wall Street was. 6 families, Black families that own private jets. Think about that. And what we make now in minimum wage, they equaled it out to where people we were living lavishly, so to speak. We were living comfortably, and everybody had not necessarily equal pay, but balanced. You get what I'm saying? It was more of a balanced thing.
We had our own. And then we had our own banks. We had our own theaters. We had our own businesses, our own barbershops, our own churches, it was just beautiful, right? So you even had the white people that lived in Tulsa. They were 24/7 using the Black banks. Do you understand it? Like, they were constantly depositing and taking money out and transferring money out of, our Black banks, making accounts there and everything. So we were living so good that a lot of the white people that were in Tulsa weren't living as good as us. So at this point, you see what I'm leading to. There's a bit of jealousy there. So as you can imagine, that those who had envy in their heart and hatred. And I also want to excuse myself and apologize for the last podcast because I was cussing a lot. I'm trying to do better. There was a point in time where I didn't like to cuss, but it just over the years, me growing up, man. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah.
You can see that those who had hate and envy in their heart that were white, you can see what it led to. You can see that they read their letters and told other people this, that, and the third, and they had their little connections with the KKK, and that's what happened. It wasn't a race riot, people. It was a massacre.
Yeah. From my understanding of it, is when at the time, because I can't speak about, I don't want to say all white folks because everyone's got different things in their heart. So
Well, that's what I said. It wasn't all those white people that had
Yeah.
the envy and greed in their heart and the hate in their heart.
Yeah,
I'm not speaking. I'm not saying that all people are all white people are evil, are bad or evil.
No.
It's
Absolutely.
some sprinkles in there that got some.
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, from my perspective, it was what they saw was they saw independence. They saw that we did not need them to survive. We had our own.
Right.
We didn't have to take from them. We didn't want anything from them. And some of them, quite a few of them, did not like this. And they decided to, well, the same way they did, the same way they do everything. Fear has a tendency to make you act out. And fear leads to hatred. And that leads to it leads to dangerous things. And what happened here was the fall of something that I believe that we can build back up. But that's going to take us all being on the same page. And right now, that's probably the biggest issue, is that we're not on the same page. So the fall of Black Wall Street, it was simply just them deciding, it was just simply those folks deciding, you know what? They're getting too much. They're getting ahead. Everything that they had done at that point to keep us behind the curve, we were catching up. That's how they felt. We were catching up. And they said, you know what? We can't have them being equal to us. They can't have their own, because if they have their own, then all of a sudden, that's about equality. They don't want us to be equal to them.
And that's what they hated. That's what they hated. They didn't like the fact that we were putting money back into our own businesses. We didn't need to buy or rent or export anything from them. We were exporting stuff from out of other places, out the country.
Mm-hmm.
We were, Black Wall Street started to do what Marcus Garvey was trying to explain to people what we need to do.
I love that, man.
You know what I mean? Marcus Garvey was about having a positive outlook on economics as far as Black economy. He was trying to tell people, get your own boats, get your own, your own way that you can have a business and trading system out your country that's controlled by yourself. But the issue is white people don't, especially back then and even now, because at one point there was a brother that wanted to get his own airline, and they didn't how that went. They didn't want that to go down.
Absolutely not.
And that's within recent years. So if in recent years they shut that idea down, of course they're gonna shut this down. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
I mean, like it just comes down to it. They want to feel superior. They made the system to keep us down. They've miseducated us so that we wouldn't feel like we had a chance. Now that we know, during the time of Black Wall Street, we knew we had a chance. We just had to reinvest in ourselves and our own community because we knew they weren't going to.
And we were doing it.
And we were doing it so well. And I believe that we can do that again, but it's going to take us to all be on the same page. Exactly. Have your own, employ your own. But, that's a harder thing to accomplish now than it was back then. But I still believe we can do it. I mean, it's saddening. It's saddening to think that someone thinks that they're so much more superior than the next person that they feel like they have to rule that person, or even like in this case, rule that entire ethnicity, that entire ethnic group. They have to have rule over them. But for what? That's fear. If you're afraid that someone's going to overthrow you, then why do you have your foot? Why do you have your foot on their neck? Why are you even attempting to do this? Why not just try to get along?
Yeah,
See what I'm saying? I mean, you know, it's baffling. And it's a shame that we have to have an anniversary for such tragedy. But it's a reminder of what we are capable of, but what comes with that. Jealousy and envy are horrible things. And they follow success, unfortunately. The more successful you are, jealousy and envy is right around the corner. Someone's looking to take you down.
The fun thing about the anniversary for anything involving Black history, we wouldn't need to have an anniversary if it was in more books, in schools.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that's the sad part. And also, I want to give a big shout out to Push Black. They have a good segment that you can go online and either, you can either audible it, or you can, they got good information on anything involving our history. And they also have a good segment they did on Sarah Rector. And granted, I knew about Sarah Rector because my father and my mother didn't play enough. When it came to my father and mother, things I didn't know outside of school, they drilled it into me. So luckily for me, I had parents like that didn't play when it came to history. They always told me that a Black man ain't nothing without his education, especially his history. His history is very important. If you don't have the memories or the knowledge of the past and the respect of what came before you to get you here, you have nothing. And I really appreciate my parents for that. So shout out to Black Push. Yeah. And even piggybacking on that now, after this whole Corona thing ends, if it ends at this point, because this is stupid, and we know, we have an idea of where the coronavirus came from. Let's put it like that. Yeah. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah.
But after this whole thing ends, we need to get together. We cannot. I'm not going to use can't because I was always taught that can't shouldn't be in my vocabulary.
Absolutely
we cannot sit back and just distance ourselves from each other. No. We got to come together if we want to have anything remotely close to what Black Wall Street is, right? We got to come together. We can't be out here showing off and acting one way on TV, right? But yet, everybody knows in the back of their mind, you ain't giving to the community. Yeah. You can have you out here. You got a shoe brand with Nike or something. You get what I'm saying? And you're not giving back to the community, and you think that just by your shoe being out there, then that's enough, or your music being out there, that's enough. Yeah. For those who are artists that don't give back, for those who are ball players that don't give back, and I'm not saying that all do or don't, but there are some that do and there are some that don't. There's actors that don't give back to the community, comedians that don't. Absolutely. They just worry about self. And at this point, we can't afford to do that because at this point, it's about our future. We have to do what a parent has to do for their kids as a community. We have to be a village again. Because like you said before, it's not that the village is not there, it's just diminished, drastically diminished.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So we have to build a ground for our future, our kids, and their kids to stand on, to be able to root themselves in. We don't have that. So we got to stick together.
We absolutely do. We got to stick together now more than ever. Because right now, I mean, look at how the country is torn apart right now. I mean, like take it in its totality. We've been stuck at home for months. Half of the country is out of work. See what I'm saying? Now we have. I mean, now, don't get me wrong when I say this. I want to be absolutely clear when I say this. I in no way am I happy about any of the things that have taken place. I'm not happy about any of it. In a strange, sort of weird way, I'm happy because now the bigots are
They
in
can't
plain
hide.
sight. They're in plain sight.
Can't hide.
I don't have to worry about who my enemy potentially is. I can see them now. Not that I didn't already know, but now there's no denying it. Everyone can see it now. It's on the surface. It's not below anything.
It's not that we didn't know, right? It's
Now
the fact that
everybody knows.
they've been incognito, so
Yeah.
to speak, or they've been hiding in plain sight because, like I said before in the last podcast, for instance, the KKK, they traded their hoods, their little white gowns and stuff like that for badges. They traded it for suits and ties and Samsonite briefcases and Congress seats.
If you control the money, that's what it is. If you control the money and you make the laws, you have all the power, and everyone has to bend to your will.
Exactly. So
it changed the way it looks. It didn't, it never went anywhere. It just took on a new form. Yeah, but it's still here.
It evolved, if you will.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It evolved and it got stronger. And the one thing that we have as a society, as a community, we have each other, and they need us. Don't kid yourself for 1 second. They need us because if they didn't have us to try to rule over, there's no one to rule. There's no purpose in going through everything that they've done to keep that control. If we revolt, because I'm gonna tell you what we're looking at right now here in this country. I can't speak for everybody else, but what we're looking at right now, this is how revolution looks. This is what it looks like. And I mean, for those who aren't aware, whether you're across the pond or another country completely further than that, or maybe you're just here and you're uninformed. 45, and I explained why I call him 45 in the last podcast. If you would like to know why, you can go back and look at that. But 45 has literally just told us, like from his own mouth, that if we do not follow orders, if the mayors of our cities do not follow orders to take aggressive stances against those in the streets, the public, the protesters, and the rioters, if they refuse to do as they've been ordered to do, he's going to turn our own military on us. Now, I don't think he knows, or maybe he does. I don't think some people don't understand. Martial law follows that. Martial law follows that. Now you have complete chaos, lawlessness. You talking about? You think they think it's bad now. Turn the military on the people. Now you're going from a revolution to an all-out revolt. Everybody's going to be fighting everybody, just trying to survive. And that's not what we need right now.
The last time I heard talk of anybody that held that seat doing anything remotely close to that was person. And right now, you and other people may call him 45. I call him Troll.
Yeah, I mean, I refer to him as 45 because
I don't recognize him as 45.
I don't recognize. Yeah, I mean, the only reason I say 45 is because that's the most. The thing about it is, and this isn't even about patriotism for me. I respect the Oval Office itself. That's where the person in charge of our country, no matter who it is, that's their office. So when the 44th President Obama was there, I called him by his name. I have respect for him, but not only did he deserve and earn that respect, but he worked, and we had peace in this country. For the most part, we had peace. We weren't where we are now. It wasn't until 45 got in that everything fell apart. Heck, we had George W. Bush before we had Obama, and it wasn't this bad. So honestly, he had a good cabinet, whether you liked it or not. At least we weren't going to this point. Now, this right here, this doesn't make any sense now. This makes no sense, and we're headed for disaster. And honestly, it may be time. I mean, because honestly, I feel like the government and the powers that be in this country should be happy that people of color are looking for peace. They're looking for peace and equality as opposed to revenge. Because if it was about revenge, we burn this entire country down. Because think about that for a second. This country was built on the backs of slaves and stolen from the Native Americans.
Well, since we're talking about that also, right? As I stated before in our last podcast, you have one race of people that just need power, right? It's as if there is some kind of cartoon or comic book entity that you know. That's what they seem like. They seem like something straight out of a comic book or cartoon, right?
Right.
And it's like they lust or need power, right? So they came over here, they raped and pillaged Native Americans. They tricked them. They not just did the raping and pillaging, but they also, what people don't know is that they put them into slavery too. Some, and if not a lot, of Native Americans was in slavery too. So when it comes to slavery in America, our ancestors, one, we were forced to change our beliefs, change our names, change anything we thought of our past, our families. You know, so like I said before, they beat Christianity into us. And if you think what I was trying to say, what got cut off, if you think that Kunta Kinte or the brother off of Amistad, who was depicted in Amistad, was the only ones that were Muslim, you tripping.
Absolutely.
Because there were more people that weren't just Muslim. Zulus have their own religious beliefs. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So our people had their own beliefs, their own ways of life, and dietary plans, everything. You know what I'm saying? So to get forced to change our beliefs, our way of life, our names, and for one, we were forced to eat something that they don't normally eat like that over in Africa, bro. Even today. And those who do, it's all for some survival, situation that they're dealing with. So the issue is this, right? It became so much brainwashed into our head that our people try to turn the negative into a positive, to a point where the chitlins, the bad part of the pig, is what we laid on. It became a delicacy. No,
I mean, I would never call it a delicacy. I would never call it a delicacy. I mean, now
I'm just saying, but you see what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I mean, I don't want to fall too far. I don't want to fall too far off subject because
I'm not.
But it's real hard. It's real hard to speak about any of these things without mentioning things, and they segue into one another. They absolutely do. So
they intertwine with one another because it's just the repackaging. All this is just the and for those brothers and sisters like in certain parts of Jamaica or whatever that don't believe that anybody in America fought back just as much as the protesters are fighting back now. You get what I'm saying? Fought back to get those bondages off of them. There's a lot of unknowns out there. You get what I'm saying? That happened. But this protest, man, this is about more than just race. It's about power and control, and it's just ugly. And you may respect the Oval Office. I can't, because of what that Oval Office represented for so many years. They tell you one thing in your face on the podium and mean something totally different and do something totally different. I can't respect it. Certain people that was in that chair, I might can have some respect for.
That's what I mean.
For instance,
Obama. I mean, so like I said, don't misunderstand me. When I say I respect the Oval Office, I didn't say I respect the man sitting there. Everyone's got their own agenda. They've got their own prerogative. Everyone's different. That's why I brought up Obama specifically, because of what he was able to achieve in his time in the office. I respect the office to the point where someone had to take that job. Whether they were voted in, whether they cheated to get there, someone's got the job. It isn't me, and I don't know how I would handle it because I'm not trained for that type of thing, and I'm not sure if I could handle it. I mean, because we saw what happened to President Obama. He literally aged. I mean, that aged him. He walked in looking so young, and he walked out looking old and beat down, like he'd been doing like serious, like some physical labor for a while.
It was like he went through a time machine or something. Like he was in a hyperbolic time chamber or something. Like,
right?
Slim, that joint, it just didn't look right. Like, I don't know. It you could tell something was up. He knew, or he was being fed stuff that he didn't want to.
Right.
Like he had to look like, why are you telling me something that I can't tell people that need to know this? You know what I mean? So, and also for people watching us, you're going to probably hear us or probably me say some slang that's prominent around our area. We are in the DMV area, the Washington D.C., Maryland area, VA area, and you're gonna hear a lot of young smos. That's just what we speak. So
so
not to confuse anybody.
Absolutely, you can't help where you're from. I mean, that's just what you speak. But in general, it's all relative. We all know we know what we mean when we say what we say. You know.
Yeah.
So I know I said I wasn't going to do this before we started this, Jason. But since we're talking about history, I feel like we need to hear from brother Gil Scott Heron right quick. So I feel it's necessary, bro. I feel like it's necessary.
I don't mind. You about to play something I fall asleep to, so I'm not.
Absolutely. All right, I'm queuing it up right now, man. It's important that we hear this.
Dude, I fall asleep with Malcolm X speeches and stuff. This ain't nothing. I'm good.
I feel you.
Play it.
All right, here he goes.
And to say the least, somebody went through a hell of a lot of trouble to make sure that when we looked things up, we wouldn't fare too well.
Actually, let me start it over. I'm gonna start it over. Give me a second.
But I've compiled what few facts I could. I mean, such as they are.
I'm gonna have to start it over because it's a little too low. It's a little bit too low. Give me 1 second. Here we go.
Days and digging through the rubble. And to say the least, somebody went to a hell of a lot of trouble to make sure that when we looked things up, we wouldn't fare too well. And we would come up with totally unreliable pictures of ourselves. But I've compiled what few facts I could, I mean, such as they are, to see if we could find out a little bit of something. And this is what I got so far. First, white folks discovered Africa. They claimed it fair and square. Cecil Rhodes couldn't have been robbing nobody because, hell, there wasn't nobody there. And white folks brought all the civilization because there wasn't none around. How could the folks be civilized when wasn't nobody writing nothing down? And just to prove all of their suspicions, well, didn't take too long. They found out that there were whole tribes of people in plain sight running around with no clothes on. That's right. The men, the women, the young, and the old righteous folks covered their eyes, and no time was spent considering the environment. Hell no, this just wasn't civilized. And another piece of information they had, or at least this is what we were taught, is that unlike the civilized people of Europe, these tribal units actually fought. And yes, there was some crude implements, and yes, there was primitive art, and yes, they were masters of hunting and fishing, and courtesy came from the heart. And yes, there was love and medicine, religion, intertribal communication by drum, but no paper, no pencils, and no other utensils. And hell, these folks never even heard of a gun. And this is why the colonies came, to stabilize the land, because the dark continent had copper and gold, and the discoverers had themselves a plan. They would discover all the places with promise. You didn't need no titles and deeds. Then they would appoint people to make everything legal, to sanction the trickery and greed. And back in the jungle, when the natives got restless, they would call it guerrilla attack. And they would never describe that the folks finally got wise and decided that they would fight back. And still, we are victims of word games. Semantics is always a bitch. Places once referred to as underdeveloped are now called mineral rich. And the game goes on eternally. Unity kept just beyond reach. Egypt and Libya used to be in Africa. They've now been moved to the Middle East. There are examples galore, I assure you. But if interpreting were left up to me, I'd be sure every time folks knew this version wasn't mine, which is why it is called his story.
Very deep.
Yeah. And I heard that a while ago, and the first time I heard it was around the time that I learned.
Your mic.
Yeah, I got it. I'm changing it right now.
Oh, and I apologize. This may me doing this, people. This is the original toothbrush.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, it taught us, you know, that poem in itself. It opened my eyes when I was younger, as I'm sure it opened a lot of eyes. And for those who have never heard of, that's brother brother Gil Scott Heron. Look him up.
Yes.
Trust me. You're in for a ride, and man, that brother there.
He told a very beautiful piece of part of history. So, yeah. And he's experienced it. He was during the times of Black Panther movement.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I want people to understand something that I just want to throw this out there. Our problem isn't black or white necessarily, because like I said earlier, like we both said earlier, it's not everybody. It's not all white folks. So do not make that mistake. It's not all white folks, because we know some damn good ones too. Sorry for cursing. We know some doggone.
And granted, I've had too many bad experiences with.
Yeah, I mean, I've had quite a few bad ones too, but
the Anglo-Saxon or the Caucasus descent, if you will. I've had too many bad experiences, but even I'm not ignorant. Even I'm not that ignorant to go as far to say that they're all one way, and they're not. Absolutely. I've had some good experiences with some. You know what I mean? But I just had a lot of bad experiences.
Yeah, trust me. I mean, as many bad as you've had, I've had some as well. But I just want to.
It's always that one that gives you hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
That there's some more. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and the one thing I just want to get it out there that notice that we keep on emphasizing that it's about police brutality, not white police brutality, not black police brutality. It's just police brutality. It's not just about the training.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not just white badges. White people behind badges. There's some brothers behind badges too.
Yeah, I mean,
and those could be labeled as overseas at this point.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, it's good cops and bad cops. But like I said in the last podcast, if you're a good cop, if you refuse to do anything, when you're quiet is not helpful. I understand that you're afraid, but you chose a job. No one made you choose this job. You were not selected. You had to go and find out what it took to do this. And when you did that, you decided, okay, let me go into this. I get it. It's a scary job. More power to you, because I couldn't do it. I was almost a cop myself, and I didn't get it. I didn't leave it because I was afraid. They made a judgment call about me. They were incorrect, but I take it as a blessing. That's a blessing, because I could have been one of the very people that I'm talking about. The difference is myself. I can't sit there and I'm not going to watch something that I know is wrong happen and not say something. My life would have been in danger, but you know what? The people would have known I'm not a part of this. I would gladly turn my badge in. If this is what it means to be a police officer, I'm turning my badge in, because I'm not going to be a part of this mess going on. And so when I say that it's important for us to get it out there, we don't hate all cops, but unfortunately you all get lumped together. They say one bad apple spoils the bunch. Well, see, if it's 10 cops and there's 7 bad ones and 3 that ain't saying nothing, you may as well be one of them, because you're condoning it. You don't think you're condoning it, but by keeping your mouth shut, you are. You're allowing it to happen.
The issue is this, right? It's so bad that in the hood, being a cop has bad misconceptions, like to a point where nobody in the hood trusts cops, and because of so many of the bad cops, or as we call them, Keystone cops, dirty cops, that it's so many of them that anybody out the hood is trying to even be a cop is seen like they can't even talk to their families no more because of that type of thing. Because no matter if they want to do the right thing or not, you know what I mean?
Trust is broken.
It just it's that bad of a situation between people and cops.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it
once you put
should
that
be
blue
like that.
on
Like,
and got that badge, it's almost. I'm not saying it is betrayal, but you've chosen a path to where I can't trust you as being your family member, being your brother in arms, whatever. We were once solid on this, but if you've chosen to be a police officer, you are separating yourself because you're entering something that we know to be negative. So it's I mean, it's like a broken bond.
I've been to so many cookouts where like we'll be celebrating somebody's birthday, right? And we known this person for years, this and the third. But then that one cousin comes in that everybody liked before, but then became a cop. Everybody is quiet around him. Nobody recognizes, nobody says nothing to him, and all the kids are told not to say nothing to him. It's that bad of a stigmatization that cops bring when they do stupid stuff like this. When they plant evidence that wasn't there. When they start trouble with a pregnant mother, do you understand? And force her out of a car, or not even a pregnant mother, old women. There's countless of recordings where an old woman or a pregnant mom is pulled over to the side and snatched out their car. Okay, before they even given a chance to reach outside, reach into their glove compartment to give them verification, to prove that they have a registration and all this other stuff. So when you do stuff like that, we can't. It's hard for us to trust you guys at that point. And the bad part is a lot of us in the hood has pondered what it would be like to be a cop. We've thought of, I'm sure there's a lot of us have thought about it. It's been like, what if I was a cop and I could change the outlook, then make it positive? It goes back to that whole point of changing a negative to a positive, because we got friends as cops.
Yeah. I mean, we don't hear from them anymore, and we don't talk to them, but I mean,
we don't hear from them.
Yeah.
We don't even hang out with them no more.
We can't. I mean,
I know
friends, but we can't. We can't trust that. We can't trust that they actually have our back when, if something happens. We can't trust that they have our back. To make things worse on that end,
because
we're not entirely sure. I'm not going to give his name because you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to give his name, but I always felt like by disassociating with us, he was doing us and himself a favor, because by keeping his distance, he was keeping us safe the best he possibly could while he went on, why he chose this career path. Because what would happen if the four of us were out and they didn't recognize that he was one of them because he's in his street clothes? He looks just like we do, Jason. I'm sorry. He looks just like we do.
Slim, he looks like Sam Cooke in the face.
Absolutely. And
he looks like a young Sam Cooke, like when Sam Cooke was back in the Solstice, bro. He looks like Sam Cooke. This is the thing, though, right? I've run into him more than one occasion, and I've seen him actually doing his job right. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Because of the morals and scruples that I know that his mom and pops instilled in him, I know that I can say that he's one that makes that work occupation look like something good that I might want to try to join. Other than that, no. I know another brother that I was in the VPA program with, and he was a little younger than me. He was in a grade lower than me. I don't want to typically put his name out there, but he's a lighter skinned brother, and he put something on his Instagram, and I was so proud of him because I know I've met his mom, I've met his family when they come up to the school to check on him or war something, whatever, right? So I know he's come from a good background, like his mom put that positive reinforcement in him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's a brother that became a cop and displayed what it means to have that badge on the right way. And I can honestly say that, like, he has a Instagram video, a little segment where I guess his partners were it looked like his partners was kind of harassing this homeless dude, and the homeless dude was black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, homeless people just land anywhere it looks like loitering, or it's considered loitering. And the homeless dude, they had no his feet, his toes were sticking out of his shoes.
Right.
And this was like downtown somewhere, right? So his feet were sticking out his shoes, his toes and everything. My man took his shoes off and gave them to the homeless dude. You don't see stuff like that.
That's an act of humanity right there,
That's
man.
Let's escape the fact that he was black. The fact that this man was a human being and that he seen that he was without. He had something that he had. And he could get it back like it ain't nothing. This man can't. So he was like, yeah, let me make sure that this. Plus, I think it was like cold. It was like nighttime, so you know it was probably cold. I don't remember if it was raining, but all I remember was my man giving him his shoes, and you know, it's examples like that that really give people hope that there is good cops out there that can do for. You know what I mean? And his little partners or whoever those other cops were, they were trying to like kind of stop him. But he was like, "Nah, let me handle this. I'll talk to him."
Mm-hmm.
And granted, you and me, we've been in something similar. We were security guards.
Yeah.
And I was security guard
again.
at the Watergate building.
Yeah.
And I've had a situation where it was a homeless black dude that was trying to steal from CVS under the joint, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So he stole like some the giant joints of Downey and was trying to run out that joint with it. So I ran up there, caught him, and I was like, dude, look, I play sports. I will catch you. I keep in shape. At that time, I was keeping in shape a lot better than what I'm doing now. I was like, I will catch you if you were trying to run. Just know that. But I don't want to have to take it that far. So all I'm asking is that you know, because I understand. I was like, I told him I was homeless. I was sleeping behind park benches. I was sleeping behind dumpsters and stuff. I was like, I've been there. But if I can, so I need you to take that stuff you stole right back down there. All right, and then you can just walk away. But if you try to take it further, dude, you're gonna force me to have to do my job fully, and I don't want to have to take it that far. Right? So it's situations like that where it gives people hope to put on any kind of badge at that point. Bless you, bro. Yamakallah.
Thank you.
And we don't see that now. Like right now, the protest going on. I shouldn't see a cop putting his hands on a woman with a phone. She's not hitting them. She's not throwing nothing at them, but I see it.
Absolutely. And the whole situation is it is beyond the whole thing is beyond it's beyond me. I don't understand how we've gotten this far. And what I really don't understand is how is it if someone is a peaceful protest. This is one of our rights as American citizens. If anyone has any idea, in case you don't know, I'm sorry. If you don't know what it's like over here, you know, basically they're saying that we have every right to do this, that, and the other, but they look at every turn to take it from us almost immediately. And if we don't comply with what they said, be it lawful or not, the first thing they do is they go to put their hands on us. That in itself is breaking the law, because now you're denying me of my rights, which are in the Constitution. See, that's not fair. That's not fair. I've seen too many videos, too many live feeds where the person is videotaping someone and the person that is being apprehended literally did not put their hands on anyone. All they were doing was speaking. They were saying, listen, there's no reason for all this. This doesn't have to happen. And they were just trying to be as peaceful as possible.
Yeah.
And what ended up happening was these policemen, and I don't care what their ethnicity is at this point because they're all in it together. At this point, they just grabbed him, cuffed him, and beat him. Didn't do anything wrong, not a felon, nothing. I mean, I don't know if he was a felon. That doesn't even matter. He was in a peaceful protest. Doesn't matter. They put their hands on him. They beat him. He's in the hospital. Then he's going to jail having committed no crime.
And you know what charges are gonna put on him? Like, you know, disubordinate against the officer and all the stuff. Like,
Disturbing the peace. Imagine that. Imagine that.
How are you disturbing the peace?
Doing a peaceful protest. Disturbing the peace of the peaceful protest. I understand that. Like,
sitting down.
I mean, he wasn't looting. He wasn't rioting. He was just talking to people. And now his head is lumped up. You know, cuts. And he's bleeding in places that shouldn't be bleeding. And
he might got a concussion, a contusion and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So like,
exactly. And I look at that and I'm like, man, look, if we can't, I mean, you know what? I think we should probably wrap up here because I don't want us to get too far into this because it's always another day, brother. So one thing I want to remind people of is that on July 7th, there's supposed to be a nationwide blackout. It's supposed to be a social media blackout, much like today was supposed to be a blackout Tuesday. I guess that's what they're calling it, where people put up basically a pitch black circle or
and that's the 7th, right?
Yeah. On July 7th.
I knew it was gonna be the 7th. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. Now the thing about it is, everyone doesn't agree with the blackouts. That's understandable because some people feel like myself. How can I be effective and spread the word if I'm not using social media? Well, go door to door if you don't want to use social media, or if you're like me, I'll still be using social media, but I'm dedicating the same way I'm doing now. I'm dedicating all of my social media outlets to getting, spreading knowledge, getting the word around, showing people what they don't want to see, but to show you what's going on in the world right now. This is what I live every day here, and trust and believe the two of us, we do not speak on things that are not true and cannot be backed by facts. So if we're putting it out there, absolutely believe it.
Speaking of that, if in fact people have any questions or comments and they want us to give you either photo, video proof or written proof, that we'll do that too. We'll give you links. Just let us know. And if you're wondering why we're not out there protesting, because one, I've been in protests before.
Yeah, as have I.
But the issue is this: I didn't have a family back then.
Yeah,
I had my parents and stuff. They don't even know that I was doing that. But the issue is now I have my kids and my wife and my family to worry about.
Yeah,
you understand?
Yeah,
I'm in
a similar situation.
I can't go out there. I can't go out there. I don't have a way of ensuring that their future is secure if I was to die today or tomorrow. Right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So people out there that's wondering why we're not out there protesting, or people like Kendrick Lamar or J. Cole J. Cole was just seen protesting out there with the people. The difference between he and us is that he actually has substantial amount of money to be able to secure his family. We don't.
Absolutely.
I can't do that. And I wouldn't dare to put my family in jeopardy like that. So
Absolutely.
This is the best that we could do right now.
Yeah. And for me, it's similar. I mean, I may not have a wife and any children, but I do have a house full of nieces that
you got my sister. You got my sisters and my mom, my extended mom over there, and my nieces over there, bro. So you got.
Yeah. I mean, they're not mine. Biologically they're not mine, but this is my family, and more importantly, without me, they don't have a father figure. So
And my kids' godparents.
I mean, I'm exactly. So I mean, I'm
So
playing. I'm a father figure to some children that aren't even mine, but I love them the same. So without me, they don't have that dominant male figure to give them things how it is. They have their mother. A father's, a father or a father figure is definitely needed in a young child's life, especially a girl. I mean, a boy too, but girls definitely need their father figures. They need them, and that's the role that I have to play right now. And I mean, otherwise, trust me, if it wasn't that, I'd be on the streets right now too. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be in jail right now. I'd probably be in jail because if you know me personally, you know I'm a large guy, and though I'm very passive, one look at me and you say, man, that's a big aggressive looking guy, and
this big dude got the speed of Majin Buu. It's like,
come on, man.
You ever seen him run on the football field, But also, also on that note, we don't want to end up. We don't, for the sake of our families. We're trying to fight for our families, our kids' future. We don't want to be in the penitentiary.
Absolutely.
Right now. If I had my choice, I would be out there, but I can't because my family's more important right now.
And
that's not to say that I'm trying to be safer.
Yeah, the one thing to keep in mind is that everyone has their part to play in this, and though we have limited resources, we're doing what we can with what we have. This platform that we are using and hopefully creating and building upon, we're using it for all the right reasons. This is our way of supporting, so spread this around if you the best you can. That's what we're doing. Get the knowledge out there and talk some sense into those who are more radical than others. Some people like to jump off the rails with it and take it further than it needs to go, or take it where it doesn't need to go at all. I mean, not even further, just take it to far left when we're over, we're over here and they're going far left with it, and that's got nothing to do with our cause. So,
and in my younger years, if I was out there right now, that would probably
far left.
Probably been
it'd be you on the far left, right?
And I can't lie. So
but
when it comes to situations like this, we got to think.
Absolutely, and so in the end, to close this episode.
Wait, before you start the music segment, I gotta say, everybody, we're all dealing with the coronavirus, so things that could help as far as our respiratory system, because this affects our respiratory system quicker than anything. So right now seasons are changing, so our allergies are going to be one of the things that's questioned. So black seed oil and cod liver oil, and stuff that our grandmothers and parents used to give us back when we were kids. This is stuff that my father and mother used to give. And apple cider vinegar. You guys need this to digest this. You need to, these things help your respiratory system a lot. It helps your blood flow. Okay, so keep that in mind.
Absolutely.
Little tidbits.
Yeah. So we're gonna close out before the music starts to end this. We got some inspirational words from yesteryear, from the past, that still ring true today. All right, and I don't know if you want to read one and I'll read one, or I can read both, however you want to do it. But
you can read both, bro. It don't matter.
I got you. One coming from brother Malcolm X. If you're not careful, the newspapers will have you hating people who are being oppressed and loving the people who are doing the oppressing.
So true.
And
so true.
Just as important, some words from brother, not brother. I don't know why I'm saying brother. Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Brother Doctor.
Brother Dr. Yeah, exactly. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. He and his family are loved. Quote from him, and I want people to pay attention to both of these, but this one rings true for me a little harder than the most. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
That's deep.
Absolutely.
And later on, in another segment, another podcast session, we or I, whatever, how you want, go in depth with how those two were going to come together.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So and why that didn't happen.
Yeah,
because if they came together,
yeah, because just a quick thing. So the last thing I'm gonna say on that right there is people don't realize this, and I want them to look this up. And so all those listening, look it up if you can. Though they were on two separate sides of the field in the same fight, they were working together.
Yes.
Just because I'm left and you're right doesn't mean we're not together in the fight. In the fight. Understand
That's
that.
True.
We have the same goal. We just got two ways of going about it. If we could find some common ground,
a medium,
and work together, and find a medium. There you go. Find a medium. We can get this done together. But until the next episode, I'm Big Brother Mark, and this is Vicious Thought. Thank you for watching. And until next time,
everybody be safe.
Absolutely. Be safe. All right. All right.
Star Natalie Woods and Steve McQueen, or Bullwinkle and Julia. Revolution will not give your mouth sex appeal. The revolution will not get rid of the nub. The revolution will not make you look 5 pounds thinner, because the revolution will not be televised, brother. There will be no pictures of you and Willie Mae pushing that shopping cart down the block on the dead run, or trying to slide that color TV into a stolen ambulance. NBC will not be able to predict the winner at 8:32 on report from 29 districts. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of pigs shooting down brothers on the instant replay. There will be no pictures of Whitney Young being run out of Harlem on a rail with a brand new process. There will be no slow motion or still life of Roy Wilkins strolling through Watts in a red, black, and green liberation jumpsuit that he has been saving for just the proper occasion. Green Acres, Beverly Hillbillies, and Hooterville Junction will no longer be so damn relevant, and women will not care if Dick finally got down with Jane on Search for Tomorrow, because black people will be in the street looking for a brighter day. The revolution will not be televised. There will be no highlights on the 11 o'clock news, and no pictures of Harry armed women liberationists and Jackie Onassis blowing her nose. The theme song will not be written by Jim Webb or Francis Scott Key, nor sung by Glenn Campbell, Tom Jones, Johnny Cash, Engelbert Humperdinck, or The Rare Earth. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be right back after a message about a white tornado, white lightning, or white people. You will not have to worry about a dove in your bedroom, the tiger in your tank, or the giant in your toilet bowl. The revolution will not go better with Coke. The revolution will not fight germs that may cause bad breath. The revolution will put you in the driver's seat. The revolution will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised, will not be televised. The revolution will be no rerun, brothers. The revolution will